Hey there, I'm Jodie Ann Senior. I'm a heart failure specialist. This channel and this video is designed to just help you in your journey with heart failure so that you have a better understanding of what that disease is and what are the things that you could do for yourself that will change the course of your disease. We've been talking a fair bit about diet lately and salt, water restriction, those sorts of things. I just thought it might be reasonable to share a little quick video to discuss whole foods a little bit more. So, it's challenging when we think about diet. We get overwhelmed with what we're seeing in social media. There's this diet and there's that diet and there's, fasting and blah, 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 blah. And with my patients anyway, I try and keep this very simple rather than complicated. Of course, there's not a one size fits all approach. Everyone is a little bit different. You may need to tailor something to yourself depending on your circumstances, and you might need dietary advice or even medical advice in terms of what would be suitable for you, particularly if we're talking about intermittent fasting, which I wouldn't recommend for everybody. But the simple side of diet is try and eat real food. Try and eat whole foods. What does real food mean? What is unprocessed food? Processing is really anything that we do to food. So you can have like minimally processed, which might be steamed or cooked. It could be that you mixed it with something or blended it up. But what we're really trying to focus on is food more as it was intended in nature versus packaged foods that don't even resemble their original components. So if it's frozen peas, that's fine. That's a single ingredient on a bag in your freezer box. But if it's cereal, it's heavily processed. So there's an easy approach. One of my patients, once she kind of got this, she really latched onto it. It was, if it comes in a packet or a box, you aren't eating it. So, try and go to the greengrocer and get your food from there. Try and go to the butcher, get your food from there, and your eggs and whatever. Try and avoid the aisles in the supermarket and leave the supermarket for the toilet paper and the cleaning products, maybe. There are plenty of resources online to help you understand what whole foods are and how to use them. There's also little, recipe books like this one. I don't have any links to them, but something like that is pretty cheap and easy to look at. They've got, beautiful pictures, and it tells you a bit about the content of the food, the fiber, the calories, and all that sort of thing. But essentially, it's a whole lot of recipes of food that you make yourself, which is pretty good. And they do some pretty cool flavors with that. So again, I think concentrate on food that you get from your greengrocer, from your butcher. Deli, be careful of. You don't want to eat the processed meats preferentially. You're better off to eat, good healthy lean cuts of meat, whatever that is, fish. Not your fish fingers, they're processed, but actual fish that's been filleted, something like that. Again, if you have to pick up the packet and read the ingredients and there's lots of things you don't even know what it is, then they're the things to discard from your diet. And you might say, oh, well, what am I going to have? Especially if diet looks like cereal and maybe it's some sort of processed snack, and then dinner is like a pizza's obvious one, right? But it doesn't even have to be. Like, you could do a homemade version of a pizza that isn't overly processed. But again, if you've got ingredients you don't even understand or know what they are, try and avoid that. That's going to help you in so many ways. Those things we're not 100% sure what they're doing to our bodies, what they're doing to our guts in particular, our microbiome, anything that's preserved. Think about processed bread, right? You know, we go to the supermarket. How long's it been sitting on the shelf for? If you made a loaf of bread yourself and then set it on the countertop, how long do you think before that bread is inedible? It's not very long. It's maybe a day or two, maybe 3, but it isn't a week. It isn't 10 days. It isn't a month. So if there's something in that food that's preserving it, then that same thing is going to have an effect on you when you consume it, and it's going to have an effect on your microbiome. And some of us are worried when we have to have antibiotics, because that not only kills off the bacteria we're trying to target, but it can kill off some of the natural flora that are in our guts. Well, preservatives in food virtually do the same type of thing. They're stopping bacteria from degrading the food. So what is that doing in our guts? It can't be a good thing for us. We weren't designed to have this going on inside us. So try and keep it simple. Try and keep it towards food that you can recognize as food, how it was designed in nature, or as close to as possible. Sure, you know, you can still do a little bit to it, but as long as you know what's in it, as long as you have a good understanding of what exactly it is that you're consuming, then you're probably on a fairly safe track. Now, some of you, if you've got a lot of processed food in your diet, and I didn't say takeaway, I said processed food, you might find that your health improves significantly just by cutting that out. I've seen it many times with my patients, and sometimes they get these amazing surprises about how their health improves that they weren't even expecting. Quite a few of them will have weight loss as a result, which makes their breathing better. So even if your heart doesn't change at all, doesn't mean that your breathing and your exertion tolerance can't actually improve. And I love that. I love that, because there's something that we have in our hands that we have control over. What we put in our mouths, whether it's the drinks we consume. Again, stay away from soft drinks and processed drinks, or things that have ingredients in it that you just have no idea what they are. Water's pretty great. Filter it if you must. But know what you're consuming. You can't go too wrong then. And you're less likely to overeat, and you're less likely to have all these ancillary health problems that you perhaps even aren't aware the source of. There's actually a number of people out in social media that talk about food and diet and how that can be a source of potential illness and how that can be a source of potential health. There's some really good people out there with scientific or medical backgrounds that you can search for yourself, but I have personally found very valuable. And it really hit home to me just how important our diets really are. Fundamentally, we're not just what we eat, we're what we're able to process and digest. And I think it warrants and deserves our attention to pay more mind to what we are consuming and realize that it does matter, even if we can't see that result like immediately. We have no feedback to tell us that it's bad, but 2 weeks of a different diet, you can feel entirely different. And if you don't believe me, try it.